should Halloween even be celebrated, right? And that's a controversial topic.
It's just not even part of the values of our nation, but yet it's here now, and it's.
What were they doing that was evil?
Whether you believe in God or not, or Satan, whatever, it's just like, I can't deny the fact that it's like, through my experience, like I felt dark, like I felt low vibration, I felt fear.
I live my life through fear of being the person I don't want to be. That's what drives me.
That's facts.
And for you to say that.
I want to point out something that Dr. Oren Amalati, this is a clinical psychologist, said.
Did you search up what people would do, like what they would practice to ward off the evil spirits?
So, I mean, I guess we can clear up the whole warding off as evil spirits. That part is dismissed, right?
Dude,
Just like Mischief Night, where people would go out and just like,
Mischief Night.
Come on, guys.
I've heard about the crazy polarization of the duality of man between getting a Jesus card with your candy bar or getting a razor blade inside your candy bar.
Right.
Having faith is a huge golden perspective of life, because
I want to go back to the Last Supper thing. Is that what happened at the Olympics?
that shit was wild.
We
right?
can get in. When you mention Olympics, it's like they're just mocking stuff, and there's a bunch of fat people and a bunch of this. These kids who are like 14, they start looking at girls like at 14-year-olds, they start sexualizing them, bro. It's lust, and lust is evil. It's a sin, right? It's a deadly sin. It's one of the 7 deadly sins.
Who's the person who means the most in your life and why?
Oh shit. No, that's a beautiful question.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Bros Think Big podcast. This is the show where we talk about the simple and yet complicated ideas of self-improvement. Tune in and join us as we become the best version of ourselves, just so that you guys can too. And always remember to like and subscribe for more. For the first guest to be joining us for his third appearance on the podcast, Christian, welcome back.
Oh, how you
Welcome
fellas
back.
doing? Wonderful to be
The man
back.
needs no introduction at this point. I mean, for starters, Chris, we brought you on here today because we want to talk about a bunch of different topics, and it's going to include like the demonic symbolization in different holidays, music, the Olympics, like sporting events too. So we kind of just want to give all our insights and then our perspectives on those certain things, and you give us yours as well. So
that sounds good, man. Thanks for having me, fellas. You know, I always enjoy talking to you guys. You guys are a bunch of very bright young men. I appreciate the conversation every time.
thank you for coming back on.
Same goes here, brother.
Absolutely.
All right, so Chris, do you want to start us off? Because you wanted to be here for this topic, of course.
Oh, sure. What you were saying? Were you saying simply?
Well, let's start with
Halloween.
Halloween, right?
Let's see.
Should I keep
Please.
going? So, obviously, let's just kind of explain why we even wanted to do this episode, because I remember since Halloween was coming up, I had the thought, should Halloween even be celebrated, right? And that's a controversial topic, because some will say, well, kids are having fun, you get to dress up as a good character, fun character, whether that be good or bad. But then I guess the biggest controversy is dressing up even as a Mario or like as a good character or a superhero fine, even though you're engaging in a holiday that was pagan at once. And then I asked you if you wanted to come on this podcast, especially as a Christian, to kind of like share the insights, because people have an understanding that Christians are the ones that are against the holiday, but it doesn't have to be Christians, right? You just have to have an understanding on what the holiday is, and then we can have, I guess, that conversation on like what Halloween is and what are the origins of it, right? Because I think that's the most important thing. What is it that we are like celebrating?
Right. No, that's a beautiful question, because I noticed that a lot of people don't understand what they're celebrating. When they're celebrating it, I think they're just celebrating things out of tradition and out of habit at this point, especially like, oh, kids are getting candy, kids are dressing up, they're having fun, there's scary things all around. I mean, this is all that they don't understand, that during this day, more supernatural and evil things can exist, because the veil between the spiritual world and the physical world is the thinnest at this time of year. And that's why people that are occult and people that like witchcraft and people that practice these pagan things, which Halloween was originally a pagan holiday. Yeah. It was originally a pagan holiday, and
People would dress up as
people
like,
would dress up as spirits
right.
to ward off bad spirits because they wanted to be like these spirits because
Then they
there
wouldn't
was a trickster spirit that they were aware of, and they didn't know that this trickster is Satan. They didn't have a name for it yet, but they would dress up as spirits, dress up as things that are evil and things that are scary to be like that, so they would be passed by and not messed with in just having their sanity, and they would leave out sacrifices and they would leave gifts, which is kind of where trick-or-treating came from. I believe that's just me putting things together, but like they would sacrifice animals, they would sacrifice people, humans,
For sure.
everything, and just because they were scared and this is in their head what was going on. This is what they're taught. These spirits exist and they're coming for them at this time of year.
Right.
Yeah. I believe it's called Samhain originally.
Samhain, yeah.
Samhain. Halloween. I read that, yeah. Very crazy.
Yeah, I think when it comes to Halloween too, and I see like both sides. Okay, like it's like an innocent holiday. Kids are going out trick or treating, stuff like that. But I also see the other side where it's like there's evil, right? There's people dressing up as like dark things, and they want to scare each other, cause fear, right? And when I look at all these things, right, it's almost like a spiritual warfare that's going on. You can't deny the fact that it's like there's energy, there's good and there's bad, there's negative, there's positive and stuff like that. And it's just during this time of Halloween especially, or just not even Halloween, just in general, it's all about inputs, right? What you input into your mind. What are you letting into your mind? Because a lot of the stuff that we input, whether that be from music, whether that be television, whether that be anything, it all just gets digested, whether we are conscious of it or not. And that can manifest itself out physically later on and stuff like that. So when it comes to seeing scary things, demonic things, or even sexual things, or things like that on social media especially, it can be really bad and harmful for children too, because it's like there are those times when I even read this today, those children when they're like younger than like 12 or so, like they're in a state of their minds, like they let anything into the subconscious mind. That, yeah, what?
That's how I know.
No, it's from
Their developers.
yeah, like before 10 years old, like their mind is open to, their subconscious mind is open to getting digested with like by anything, right? So it's like a little kid, like he's going out, he's dressed up as Spider-Man. He goes to get treats, and then he sees like someone dressed up as like a demon, right? And it's like he's actually just terrified. Like I remember Halloween, like I would be terrified of certain things and stuff like that. And I wouldn't really look back at it and say it's like, oh, it was kind of fun. It was kind of scary, and I would feel darkness and stuff like that. Like I've had moments in my life where I would feel a presence of evil or darkness, and it's just like whether you believe in God or not, or Satan, whatever, it's just like I can't deny the fact that it's like through my experience, like I felt dark, like I felt low vibration, I felt fear and stuff like that. And for that to be centered around a holiday like Halloween, like yeah, it might look innocent, it might not, whatever it is, it's just not really good inputs.
You mentioned vibration, and I think that's a very key thing to mention, and also when you're talking, you made me think everything has been normalized over time. Things have been normalized, and things have been like justified over time. Things that are evil or things that are bad. They have so Halloween's fun. It's a good thing. It's good to celebrate these evil things. They're not evil or bad or scary or something that would be considered scary, but the energy of this time of year and that day, like you should be actually protecting yourself, not feeling like it's not a big thing or it's a good thing. Like, oh, I'm gonna dress up, get candy, go around, and then like I equate this day with happiness and good, rather than maybe I should be kind of being in like prayer and thought instead of being out in the atmosphere of this supernatural, in which all of these witches and warlocks and people that practice the occult use to their advantage, because all that energy is around and these kids are soaking it up without even noticing. And they're ignorant to the fact, and that's evil plays on ignorance because it doesn't want you to know it exists. And that's one of the biggest things, man.
I was gonna bring that up too, and especially because it's like it comes down to awareness, right? Like Halloween, if you just kind of logically look at it, it's like, okay, it might be okay. Kids are hot, like I said, dressing up. Halloween looks really innocent when you're a child, right? Like when you like think and stuff like that, it's like, okay, evil, okay, demons, okay, bad energy sometimes, right? It's like, what are we really doing here? Like what is the origin? Like I really still don't know what the origin of Halloween is really about and why it's like an actual holiday and stuff like that. I mean, you said it's pagan, right?
Especially in why is it a holiday in our nation that was like founded on like Christian values, man? Like it's like how did this become a holiday in our nation? Because it's just not even part of the values of our nation, but yet it's here now and it's completely looked upon as normal. But so is a lot of other evils in this world right now. Because like I said, I think things that shouldn't be over time just creep in and they baby step to the point where you don't notice that these things are happening. And I think that's happening in culture and in the world in many different ways. And this is definitely one of them.
I feel like a good way to kind of, because this is a podcast about improving yourself and about how can you just get better in life, etc. Like all aspects, like seeking your potential, seeking purpose, etc. And the reason we bring up Halloween, it's not just bash on it. It's not just because anything like that. It's because it goes just beyond Halloween. It goes into what social media has to play in our lives about the messages that they put out there. Like I can go on Instagram and see someone die, like literally get stabbed. I've seen someone get shot on Instagram, blood, everything, and I felt dark, right? Oh, yeah. And it can get as far as that. And the reason that I really want to bring this up on this podcast too is because it's like you need to really learn how to protect yourself out there, your energy, right? Because your energy is so important. You're not just a physical being. You have energy, and you can't deny that because it's like you walk in a room, like when Christian came in, we were all light. I felt lighter. I felt happy. I felt joyful. I felt like I was full of energy. But then I've had moments like even like last week, like I'm unmotivated. I'm tired. I have to do some 75 hard shit, and I have to film a video, and I just don't really feel like doing it. I feel tired, whatever. And it's like I could either listen to that or not. But it's a spiritual warfare. It's all energy. Like, do I listen to that energy? Do I listen to the feeling or not? And so even with Halloween, like kids and stuff like that, like they're not aware. They're not aware of energy. They're not aware of like what this stuff can do down the line and stuff like that. And when you're a kid, like under 10 years old, it's easy to get traumatized, right? It's easy to, I'm not saying Halloween's traumatizing or anything like that. I'm sure Halloween is really good for a lot of people, and that's a really good thing.
It's easier to have something imprinted on your brain in your youth. You know what I mean? Like if something traumatizes you or affects you in a deep way, it sticks into your subconscious more, even as you grow up, even if you're not thinking about it on the forefront of your brain. It like subliminally stays in the back, and it might kind of manifest in the ways that you react to things later in life.
Yeah, and when you push things in your subconscious mind that you're not aware of, especially bad things, it comes out in projections. It comes out when you're mindless. When you're mindless, right? That's the time for your subconscious mind, especially bad things like your dark side, to come out and project itself out onto people. And what that simply is just signs that, hey, there's something back there that you haven't taken care of. It's like you've left like a trash bag in like your room, and like you close the door and like it just now smells, and now it's like you're down the hall and like you smell it. You smell the trash bag, and it's just like, yo, you gotta take the trash out, right? You don't know where the trash is. The room is dark. Open the door, go in, like, and then go take the trash out, right? It's the same with your subconscious mind.
It's just, don't you wish there's so much? Don't you wish you could clean your subconscious mind as easy as it is to clean physical trash in this world?
Dude,
man?
The thing is, right? Like, I'm looking into that type of stuff as well. It's like cleaning your subconscious mind. It's like, it's not as hard as you think it is, but it just takes awareness, right? But most of this world is all about stimulation. It's all about this thing, this trend, this holiday.
Especially nowadays, it's all about instant gratification, and like being mindful and mindless. That's like a huge thing. That's what I was talking about earlier. Everybody's just ignorant to the fact of a lot of things, and they just kind of blah-de-da-de-da mosey on their day, and if you're ignorant to the fact of things, you can't bring them to the attention of other people to be able to help them. You can't react to it yourself. You let things fly right by your face. So being mindful is a really important thing, especially in this day and age. And I think all trends and all things social media and all things of this world are trying to make you
pull you away from purpose, pull you away from
purpose,
something beyond.
Just they're trying to make
spiritual warfare.
Why is this life turning into an amalgamation of fleeting moments for no reason?
It's weird and
no substance.
Yeah, exactly. And 2 years ago when I was a degenerate, even 3 years ago when I started getting into that type of stuff, I was ignorant. I was ignorant because I wasn't aware that I wasn't thinking about my future. All I was looking forward to was fun. I was just like a feather in the wind. The next weekend, the next drink. Who am I texting next? Who's the next girl that's going to give me attention? Those types of things. And it's like, same thing with like holidays. It can be like this, like Halloween. It's like, oh, Halloween, dress up. Who you could dress up as? Oh, haunted house. Oh, scary this, scary that. And it's like you walk through life where you're just like la-di-da-di-da. And you could fall into a trap, right? And that's where the Satan comes in. When you're ignorant, you fall into a trap, right? You're so easy to manipulate, like a carrot on a stick and stuff. And when I was a degenerate, that's all I fell into. I didn't really believe in God. I didn't believe in good and evil and stuff like that. But deep down in my heart, I was just like, this can't.
You fell off.
This can't be like right. Like I wouldn't want to sit down with myself and actually think, because it's hard to, after doing all those things, being ashamed of myself. I didn't want to be ashamed of myself. So what I would do is keep scrolling, wait for the next weekend, the next day at school, I have a next test, etc. I get distracted, whatever. And I'm just floating again.
Anything to distract from that feeling in the pit of your stomach, knowing that you're not doing truly what you're supposed to do, or truly what you're supposed to think about, or just taking care of what you need to take care of because you just want another instant dopamine hit from this devil world that we live in.
Yeah, exactly. And even when we talk about sports too, it's like I'd be down to play soccer, watch soccer, even like I have my preferences on watching sports and stuff like that, but it can be a distraction as well. A lot of things can it's entertainment, like the anime shows I watch, whatever it is. Oh, the next series came out, or the next show came out, this and this and that. It's like these things can be such big distractions. But distraction from what, right? Something cannot be a distraction that's pulling you away from something. But what is that something? That's what? Your purpose in life. Most people don't want to face a purpose. It's like, oh no, like I don't want to think about that, right? It's something like, it's almost like a big responsibility that people are not willing to respond to.
Dude, that's crazy that you say that. I think I think back in the day, before there was as many distractions as there is in this modern world, it was a lot easier to find a purpose. And like that's why like it was like people lived in towns and like villages where everybody relied on themselves. Like, yo, the baker's down the street, the farmer's up here, the lady that takes care of everybody kids at her house while everybody goes to work is over here. And like everybody had a purpose and was happy, and like it was like blah blah blah. I feel like we're trying to automate jobs. I think humans are trying to make it so they can just relax, and I think they're gonna find a huge. That's why depression wasn't a thing before like the 1970s. You know what I mean? Before they started making mental health and stuff, like people were just like melancholy or they were sad. Like people had, I think the more free time and empty time that you have, which technology is giving the people, and you don't make the conscious effort to fill it with things of substance and self-betterment, I think it's really affecting a lot of souls in this world in a horrible way. Like, yeah, I've seen it, people in my family where they just they cannot break free of this mental cycle that they're stuck in. And just like, and like you said, even if they see their purpose, it's almost like there is such a hesitation to grab it because you know you're going to have to work to get to where you need to be. And the more you don't do this work, the more the mountain that you need to climb looks higher and higher, bro.
Yeah.
I think that's affecting people heavy lately.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I want to take this opportunity before we completely divert from it to go back to Halloween.
Yes, sir.
And I'm going to... So...
What do you think, Sasha?
Ooh, really?
So, what is Halloween? Let's break down the origin of it. I think it was you that you wanted to know the origin of it.
Yeah, I'm
tell it
curious.
to you, and then I'll go off of something you said. I'll go off of something you said as well. So Halloween has origins rooted in Samhain. This is an ancient Celtic festival, which is pagan, but we'll get back to that later. And this was marking the end of the harvest season and the beginning of winter. It's like started getting dark and everything, and it was believed that during this time, the boundary between the living and the dead was blurred, leading to customs like lighting bonfires and wearing costumes to ward off, not invite evil ones in, to ward off evil spirits. However, after Christianity spread, the holiday evolved into All Hallows Eve. I think you mentioned this off the pod, the night before All Saints Day. That's what it was, right? Yes. And this is created to honor the saints and the martyrs, like you mentioned, right? Over time, Halloween became secularized, which for those that don't know, just free of religion or whatever, into the lighthearted, festive holiday that it is today. And before I even continue, I have a bunch of these sources right here. This isn't just some YouTube video, whatever. There's like 6, 7. So far, I think we can all agree that there's nothing evil about this, right?
But what?
The origins of Halloween, to ward off evil spirits. You're going against them.
Right, but what would people, did you search up what people would do, like what they would practice to ward off the evil spirits? Because we kind of just mentioned that.
The practices started becoming iffy.
Right.
I guess the idea and the intention behind it was definitely not evil, but I think the practices became
so
iffy
what practices
as
are you guys
they
referring
went
to,
on.
if I may ask?
I can share some. So what people would do is they would dress up as those evil spirits and ghosts, so that way they would blend in with those evil spirits that they believed that came out like on that day, so that way they wouldn't be harmed by those evil spirits. And what they would actually do is they would sacrifice animals, they would sacrifice humans even, and like offer their food on those altars of the gods that they believed to have at the time. And the reason why they had that understanding is because the winter at the time was very like in those places was very hard, so to speak, and they were afraid of those conditions of the summer, so they needed that protection from gods that they worshipped, right? And then they would bring those to the altar, so that way I guess their gods would have mercy on them, and those souls would have mercy on them, because people would freeze to death, people would run out of food. And then another thing that what they would practice is they would have the poor kids dress up in costumes and stuff, put on masks, go in wealthier places or people that had more food, and then they would knock on their door and ask for food, and then those people would give them food. And what those kids and that community, like that poor community, would do for an offering was they would pray over their family if they had somebody that passed over, so they would so their soul would settle in a place that was like considered heaven, right? Like everybody had that understanding, whether that was back then or now, hell and heaven. So they would pray over those people, and then they would have these rituals that would go towards the practices, which was witchcraft and everything. So there's just so many things to break down. But when you do ask the question, what is not evil, I guess how we can kind of go back and forth is, what is it that you don't see evil in those practices? And then I can be able to share that from the knowledge today and from a Christianity that brought that goodness and obviously Jesus Christ, who came on this earth to be that sacrifice for the world and to take away the sin and to go against evil. So I wanna hear from your side.
Okay, so let's start with the whole. You mentioned again the wearing costumes to ward off evil spirits. We're warding them off, right?
What is it?
We're warding them off, right?
Yeah.
So
Blending in or warding off.
Right, we're dressing up with these things to go against them.
Right.
So how are we how is that evil?
Because
we're
you're
fighting against them.
No. Yeah, but what are you going against them because you don't like them, or are you going against them because you're so afraid of those evil spirits that you're willing to become one of them and act like one of them so you can blend in? What do you think is happening now? People, here's the thing. My understanding of how I see the world, even nowadays, not just Halloween, but even other holidays and other practices that people do is, I've heard people even say, like, is the Satan even exist? Do we like? Is there even objective, like moral viewpoint on good and bad, right and wrong, and these type of questions? Which, like, I'll be honest, is kind of foolish. And just to kind of go from there is like that is just the biggest deceive that people can get from the society norms, that now people can't even identify things that are actually harmful. Right. So people have been deceived and normalized so many things that are actually harmful to themselves that they will justify it in a way that's going to say it works for me, or it's fine, dude, and they will cope with it. So that's one of the ways that it can be evil in the first place, is that like people don't even recognize what is actually harming them or not, because there's no, like, I guess, proper education and proper understanding of what people are partaking in. And then when they feel this way, because it's so true that they are in the trap of those low vibration and stuff, low frequency, negativity, that they're so stuck in there that they think it's normal, but they don't know how to get out of it because they don't know what's the cure.
Okay, so going back to that, if you're saying that these people that are dressing up as these evil spirits to like blend in them,
yeah.
What was your original question was, are they doing it to blend in with them, but also like become them? They're doing it to
partake in, yeah.
Like pretending to be one, right?
Right.
Pretending though, right?
What?
Like it's just pretend. You're protecting yourself from them. You're not actually living up to any of the standards like being an evil spirit would be. You're doing it to protect yourself from them.
It's like a camouflage.
Exactly.
I see it as like a camouflage.
And is that evil by any means, to protect yourself from harm?
Yeah. Well, see, I guess they would camouflage to protect themselves from harm, but I guess like me personally, I would just know that I'm a man of faith and I have the light inside me, so nothing evil or dark can really affect me personally if I know I have that. Like if I can evil can't survive in the light. So like if you shine a light on evil, it scurries or dies. And you can shine this metaphorical light in many ways through scripture, through the way you speak words, through actions, through righteousness, and it's a pretty cool thing.
Right, and you know this now, and that's like what your belief system is.
So I would wonder how these people were like relieved from this practice that they had to do for so long, like how they found salvation from this. I never found that when researching.
To protect themselves, though, it's just the way that they wanted to blend in. They found the salvation through like prioritizing their own life. Like these are pagans, remember? Like how you said in your faith right now that they didn't operate under that same belief system. They operated under like I think I'll explain what paganism is later. But these are people that are operating in the salvation to protect themselves. They were under the impression that these evil spirits are a thing and that they're coming at them, so they wanted to blend in so that they would go against them.
It makes sense.
So if we do go back to like their beliefs and understanding, and back then they believed that what they were doing was protecting themselves, but then when you look at their practices and what they did, what kind of
let's talk about that.
Spirits they invited into their souls, because we literally mentioned the beginning of the episode.
Wait, I'm sorry. Before you continue, they weren't inviting any spirits into their souls. They were pretending to be one to protect themselves from those spirits.
Yeah, but what about the witchcraft and sacrificing human beings to be protected from a higher power they believed, like those gods that they believed, right? That's right. And what about that? Okay,
so I mean, I guess we can clear up the whole warding off as evil spirits. That part is dismissed, right? Dude, dressing up as the evil spirit to go against it. Can we agree to dismiss
I also want to clarify something that maybe we're not like on the same page with. Like, I'm not arguing against you necessarily, or arguing against what was going on back then. It looks like, I mean, here's the thing. I'm going to share my insight. It looks like you're looking at it from an emotional perspective. Nobody, is coming at you, right? I think we're on the same boat, all of us here. Like, these practices and these things are not good for the society. Like, you see people, partaking in these practices, and then, I mean, here's the thing. Not everybody's speaking up about how they feel, but when you do talk to these people, like most of them don't even know what they're doing. They have no idea. If you ask them why they're doing the things, they're just like, yeah, bro, it's cool. Like, why not? I mean, is that a real answer? And two, when you do ask people, like, is it meaningful what they're doing? Like, most of the times they will tell you, like, no, it's just purely for fun and like, that's it. Like, if you can't find meaning even in the things that you do for fun and you enjoy, I mean, is that really a meaningful thing to partake in? Like, what would you say to that personally? So that's the reason why I say we're on the same boat, bro. Like, we're not supposed to be going against necessarily like each other. That's why, like, I even wanted to do this episode, is because I feel like there is like that spirit, like there is that evil, which is the devil, that's literally deceiving people to think something is good when in reality it's bad, and you can be deceived to the point where now that's why they're normalized, like things that are actually bad, like, you know, it's bad, and it's so normalized that people now know it's bad, but they're still partaking it and are willing to defend it even though they know damn well it's bad.
Right.
Not everybody. There are some people that actually don't have any clue that it's bad, like they're really, I would say, brainwashed. But then there is that side of people that that know deep down, but there's something that they're still going against, and that's why I say, like, I feel like to look at these things from an emotional perspective isn't the best idea, because I mean, one of the things that I do want to bring up, like in our conversation later on, is I was asking this to myself. Okay, what if somebody actually dresses up as a Spider-Man? Like, I mean, what's wrong with that, right? Dressing up as a Spider-Man, a superhero who's supposed to represent something good, and like, because that's really not same thing as dressing up as the devil, right? It's really not. There's a big difference. And then spraying blood on yourself.
Villain, bro.
Exactly. So we can bring that up later on and then kind of have a discussion about that. But I mean, you can answer me from what side you're coming in from, but I don't know. I just see a lot of like emotions just coming from you and just, you know, taking it as if we made a personal attack against you or against facts, as you would call it, even though we have, like, what we said was pretty much same thing as you did. But I mean, it's completely fine though.
I'm looking at this from a historical perspective.
Okay.
This isn't emotional. So, by no means is this me versus you guys. This is me versus, at the most, your claim that these evil spirits dressing up to pretend it is wrong. But I'm trying to understand where you're getting that from. Right,
but when you do say it's wrong, right? Like, what makes you think it's wrong?
I'm not saying it's wrong. You're saying it's wrong.
No. Oh yeah. You're saying that what we're saying is wrong.
Right.
Right. So what are you saying that based on? That we're wrong about the information?
That you're trying to say that protecting yourself from these evil spirits was wrong.
I said
you're saying
partaking.
It's evil.
Yeah. They're partaking in this.
Yeah,
they're partaking in this specific practice that you can clearly see it's demonic.
By protecting yourself, and that's enough. We'll get into that later. The whole demonic thing.
Because here's the thing: we had a conversation
about sacrifice, and you're just talking about.
I'll get into I was gonna get into.
That's a demonic thing.
Right.
They didn't know that it's a demonic thing back then, because they're just living their lives and just doing what they know, because they know every year around this season it gets cold and crazy things happens,
and we don't have that now.
If they don't sacrifice whatever that they need to sacrifice, that they're going to have a really hard season, and that's just what they did because that was the way they lived.
Okay, yeah.
Right?
I tried to go on to the whole sacrifice thing, and then I just wanted to see if, because of what I gave to you guys, if we're willing to dismiss the whole idea of dressing up as these evil spirits to protect yourself, to fight against them is evil, but I guess we'll move on.
That's the personification of why kids dress up in Halloween outfits today. Probably.
It's emerged from it, but we'll get into that. So let's talk about these practices. I think there's a couple things from the video you sent. There were like soul cakes, these sacrifices you're talking about.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to know where you're getting this from. Are you referring to like when the people like wouldn't participate? And like they would, by their failure to participate in this, would result to them like being struck down by the gods per se.
What is it?
I'm saying, like, where are you getting the whole sacrifice thing from? I'm not really sure that I didn't touch up on that on a single resource when I was searching this up.
What sacrifices? Like human sacrifices?
Right. I think you may be referring to like them not participating in the whole like bonfires, not actually being thrown in it, or they would be thrown in it if they weren't, whatever. But that was more of a social pressure thing. That wasn't a sacrifice.
What was social pressure? Gathering themselves around the bonfire?
Yeah, like if I wasn't a part of that, then the gods are going to strike me down. That's what they were under the belief of.
Well, not just gods striking them down, but it was the community itself that would then kill those people because now they weren't partaking in the, I would say, in the celebration or the ritual.
The bonfires, the rituals, right.
Right, that other people were part of. Therefore, now those people weren't part of their community. Those people weren't the ones partaking in what those guys believed. Therefore, they got rid of those people by killing them, yeah. And, to, I guess, kill somebody from those practices that they believed. I don't know. Could you say that's evil?
Well, yeah, if that was the case, I mean, like I said, I didn't stumble upon that in a single piece of research to see that. I think, again, what you're referring to and what you're saying is aligning to the idea that, if you didn't participate in this, you're going to be sacrificed, whatever. But that was more of a social pressure. They didn't actually do any sacrificing. And then the animal heads are sacrificing animals like you're referring to. Might have been them wearing the animal heads as part of that too. Again, I didn't stumble upon that in a single bit of research. I mean, if you guys have a source or whatever, I'd love to hear it, but I'm all ears. But
here's the thing. I'll be honest. I didn't go deep down into like gathering the sources.
So then where are you getting this from?
What?
So then where are you getting sacrifices from?
I'm going to mention that. So other than Halloween itself, pagans had a thing of sacrificing people in front of gods. Like people believed. What are you shaking your head for? It's not true.
Let's start with what paganism is. Do you want to break down what paganism is?
You want to define it?
Glad
you have the definition.
All right, yeah. So, what?
I said that'll help.
That'll help, right? So, what was paganism, right? In reality, like paganism is a broad term that simply refers to usually like pre-Christian religion or like Norse, Greek, myth, Roman myth are examples of that. Just other than one of the big three, like Islam, Judaism, and Christianity. It's like believing in a religion that's separate from them.
It's not like the Abrahamic origin.
Yeah, like that. So it's not. It's like it's like that, and a lot of their beliefs were rooted in nature, and they would operate. What's that?
Like pagans and druids are very of kin.
Yeah, I didn't. Probably.
What were druids?
Druids are the off topic pagan, but they were kin. They're like people that use like the gods of the woods and like the gods of the things. Druids were nature magic,
like god of the death, god of the sea, and all those.
Just nature magic. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, they're polytheistic. They believe in like nature and everything like that, and another thing I had written down here is they don't put themselves above. They're not authoritarian. Like they don't believe one religion is another. And if you look through the research, you'll understand that this is not satanic. You mentioned this earlier. You said that they didn't know it at the time, but it was satanic, whatever. Satan is a Christian construct that exists that doesn't exist in the spectrum of paganism.
Yeah, he was just they didn't see that as Satan. They just see it as a trickster god. That's what I read about that.
Well, they saw it as the evil spirits, if you want to. Yeah, we can call it however, but that doesn't make it to be satanic.
Right.
So I don't understand where the whole idea, because you guys mentioned that it's a pagan thing or whatever, but where does that go wrong? Is it because it's a religion that's separate from your own, or what?
Definitely, back then, I'm sure it wasn't satanic because they had no knowledge of Satan, right?
Yeah.
But if we looked back on it now, what they were doing was probably satanic. But I can't even say that for sure.
Well, satanic evil, right?
There.
Satanic is just evil. Yeah. It's bad.
It's evil.
Wrong.
Like what goes against.
So what were they doing that was evil?
Which part are you referring to?
Well, you guys are the ones.
Are we talking about human sacrifices? Because here's the thing: I can go back to like the whole pagan practice thing, which you were saying no to.
There's no human sacrifices. Only animals.
Well, during what? Like, are we talking about Halloween still, or are we talking about like just during the period of when people worshipped idols and gods, many gods?
Halloween.
Right,
Friends
but
Halloween.
that's why I went back to paganism itself. The practice of paganism is sacrificing even human
They
beings
sacrifice like
in front
babies
of
to the
God.
god ball, yeah.
Yeah, so they would please God with their blood, and then God would give them more things, and these are the type of things that people partook in, and I guess they would, because in order for you to choose another human being to be sacrificed, you got to put some kind of superiority over them, right? Then
Say that you're more valuable than them.
exactly, and then their blood is gonna please God's, and then they're gonna go to heaven because they were the sacrifice in front
paradise,
of God.
whatever they called it.
Yeah, exactly. And like that was a pagan practice. So when I heard that, that's why I didn't really dive deep into like the Halloween aspect of the human sacrifice. But it's very true that paganism did practice that human sacrifice.
But not during this holiday, not during Halloween. It doesn't have any roots to that in Halloween. So why are we trying to claim that Halloween?
Here's the thing: there might be some research, right? I mean, like I said, I haven't done it. You did, but because you couldn't find it, does that mean it's not there?
No, of course, but because I have resources that
but
haven't seen.
because you and I don't. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Let's move.
Right. We can. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Sure.
Well, I mean, I'll go to the next topic, I guess. Let's see where I can take this off. So.
But would you say that sacrificing people is evil though?
I would. Yes. But again, it has no. I will move past it.
Yeah, well, I mean, what are we trying to do here? Trying to say like Halloween, like why people should celebrate it or not? Like
That
what
was
are
the
we?
topic you guys brought up, was it not?
Is that it?
Well, the thing is, we all brought it up, right? We all kind of came to a conclusion that this is what we're going to talk about. So it's like,
Well, not me and Josh, but majority vote, I guess, right?
I mean, you're here right now, so Halloween,
By
right?
majority vote.
So Halloween, right? What are we really trying to talk about? Like how it's like why it shouldn't be celebrated, or talk about the history and the details and about like.
Well, this is conceptual. This is conceptually relevant
I
as to
agree.
whether
The
it should
the
be.
history, like okay, the origin of what it is, but what is it now, right? What does it look like now, and how?
I'll get into that for sure. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Okay.
go
Yeah.
then.
So let's go next. Right.
Let's
Where do I
go,
wanna take it
Sasha,
off?
with
So
that research.
I'll go off of energy and everything you were addressing with that, right? So you claimed that there was like a lot of, and you sent this in the text too, that it's feeding off of fear and like low vibrations and I don't know what you're saying, low energy or whatever. I mean, holidays is when there's the highest energy of all. And if you want to say that this is like a holiday of fear, I'll say, yeah, I agree with you, right? But I want to point out something that Dr. Oren Amalati, this is a clinical psychologist, said about this whole thing. And did you guys know that like there's actually psychology of like why we love being spooked, right? And it's like that. It goes like this. Our limbic system gets activated well before, and this is like, we're talking like nanoseconds. So not really well before, but in the like physical body, that's well before our conscious thought even exists. So before we even have a chance to be like, okay, I understand what's going on. Logically speaking, I'm not in danger. Our body is acting as if a real danger or threat is present. So I want you to picture this. I want you to picture you're at like one of those hay rides or whatever, and then one of the clowns comes up behind you and scares you. Ooh, right? And you're like, oh. Naturally, even though you know you're at a high ride where this is all like, these are actors, paid actors, and this is fake, the decor outside, whatever, it's plastic, not real. Your limbic system is activating before the conscious thought. So you still get scared, even though you know, like, oh, like he says, there's not, like, logically speaking, you're not actually in danger. Or that your body is, he says, your body is acting as if a real threat or danger is present, right? So we still enjoy it because part of the brain knows it's not real, he says. He says, if we are going through something really scary with other people, like adrenaline's rushing and your heart's racing, we're sweating, these are the same things we feel when we fall in love and are sexually excited. That interpersonal dynamic helps to form stronger bonds between the people you experience these horrifying thrills with. This energy of this fear. It's a
Chasing pleasure.
So you're
Yeah,
saying,
but
you're saying
that's the holiday.
being scared gives you dopamine hits.
Yeah, it's like your adrenaline rushing, but in turn it helps build a stronger connection between you and the person you're being scared with. Like, so Mike, going off of what you said in the beginning, I
Like
mentioned,
going to war with somebody, and then you have a lifetime brother if you've been in a foxhole getting shot at with somebody.
Well, if going to war helps build a stronger connection,
Well, it's
then
pretty
maybe.
scary getting shot at, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
you're
kind
right.
of
I
a
mean,
good example for what you're saying.
If going to war helps build a stronger connection, which I've never heard it does, but maybe.
Are you kidding me? You never
Dude,
heard
what?
like the band of brothers, like people you went to war
I thought you were
with?
talking about people against each other.
No,
okay.
like say you're in a foxhole with
yes,
somebody
that is a
and you're getting
wonderful
shot
example.
and you like made it through the battle and you
1000%.
watch your boy's head get blown off next to you and then all of a sudden you're like, bro, I can't believe we lived. It's like that kind of connection.
That's 100%. I completely misunderstood you. I'm sorry.
All good, brother.
Yeah, like that brotherhood, that connection, sure. And Mike, you mentioned earlier how your experience with Halloween, and it was you were scared and you realized that it was dark, whatever, and I'm sorry for you. But unfortunately, your personal experience alone isn't enough to dictate whether or not it's bad or evil. I mean, me and Josh will.
Well, dude, like with what you just said, right? About it's literally just chasing pleasure, right? It's about.
Yeah, that's what the holiday is.
And that's evil.
Yeah, exactly. You're just chasing pleasure.
Right.
You're not chasing meaning, fulfillment. You're chasing just pleasure. It's just like going to a party, just taking the drugs because it just gives you adrenaline, right? Whatever it is. Or it's like even when you're having sex with your partner, right? And you guys want to get more freaky because why? Because it excites you. It gets that adrenaline rush. And when you start to play with things, you start to buy things to make it all like naughty and stuff like that. It's like at some point, it's just like it's just weird, and all you're chasing is just that pleasure, right?
But that's what holidays are: is Easter, Christmas, even too. Like these are pleasure things, or else they wouldn't exist, as you mentioned earlier, distractions or whatever. These are things, and I could argue that there is meaning behind it because this is a fun, family-oriented holiday where I get to.
It can be, yeah. I don't disagree with that.
Of course, right? So in
but
the
also
sense
can
that,
be bad for some people. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, of course.
The
If you're
messages.
going out like and you are like, I don't know, personally going out and you're just saying like, oh, I want to dress up as the devil for fun. Or I want to dress up as the devil, not just for fun, but because I want to symbolize being the devil. Or if I want to dress up as like a witch so I can go and actually practice like casting spells on people's candy. I think that was one of the other things he says in your video. Then yeah, there's a concern that for the majority, it's like people, of course there are some people dressed up as the devil and everything else, but it's people like me and Joshua and Mario and shit that are. And I know you said you wanted to get into that later, so I'll kind of push it to a side for now. But the idea is like this, there is meaning behind it. There's the meaning is that, yeah, I'm building more connections with my family, my friends. I can tell you that me and Josh can tell you that some of our greatest experiences as kids is through Halloween. And I mean,
that's great.
And for the majority, it is the same way, or else it wouldn't be the loved family that is looked forward to every single year it is today and is widely accepted. So I don't really see where you're coming at with like the low vibrations, like fear thing.
Well,
all right.
Have you ever had a nightmare?
I have.
Why? Like why? Like what was it like? Were
I
you
think
afraid?
it would be like the subconscious thought makes me to lead to like however dreams
no, like
work.
how'd you feel during it? That's all.
Yeah, I was scared.
Yeah, it's the same thing with Halloween.
But
you wouldn't
no,
want to
it's
be in that
not
low
because
state of
nightmares
vibration.
you don't understand. Nightmares when you're in a dream you can't really distinguish in the fact that you're a dream that oh shit you're dreaming. But when I go out to like we're trick or treating with my friends, I know that the people around me in costumes it's all just fake too.
It's
not a
subliminal fear mongering, bro. I mean, with even social media and the internet and politicians and the news channels, all if you look at the news, bro, all it is negativity and fear mongering. Like it might not be happening to you, but okay, someone died, like, or this war's happening. It's all it is just pushing
that's
out
a
this
media thing. I absolutely agree, but that's not necessarily a
no. But
Halloween
I'm
thing.
trying to tie it
Halloween
in
is
because it's all
playful.
about fear, right? It's all about negativity, pushing down this negative message about you know what I mean.
Right.
Whatever this energy's going around. Chris, what were you?
Yeah, but if I'm sorry, if I could stop you right there, but the things the media is pushing out, like the wars going on, those things are real. Again, in the example of like the haunted hayride, you know that. Well, most of the time, right?
A lot of
Or
stuff
like
can be fake.
if I looked outside and
who really
like,
knows?
Yeah,
No, ready? Who really knows if justice is being served in this world?
They can just say it.
Number one, you think people like is Ghislaine Maxwell in jail? Sure, everybody says she is.
Who is
I ain't
that?
seen her there. That's the bitch that ran Epstein's Island.
Oh, shit.
It is. You know what I mean? People say that people are getting put to justice. It could be all one big show. Did we land on the moon? Blah, blah, blah. But that's not what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
But I hear what you're saying. Number one, growing up, Halloween, one of my favorite holidays. I loved Halloween. I love the feel of it. I like what it was. I love the illusion of what Halloween has been made to be. I love it. It's beautiful. But also, you can't ignore that there is an undertone of dark energy, which it exists because truly during this part of you're talking about like the solstice and everything, that part, like
The what? Solstice?
Remember you're talking about like the end of the season and everything.
Yeah.
November, the
Sorry,
solstice.
right.
There's a veil between the spiritual world and the physical world.
I agree.
And
I like that. That's a good way to put it.
It is lessened and the most thin during this time. And this is why people who practice the occult, and all the occult is the unseen, is esoteric knowledge, the knowledge that not many people know. That's what the Masons were back in the day. The Masons weren't evil. They knew all the secrets. And the secrets is what runs the world. Biting the apple of Eve, Adam and Eve, you bit the apple, you know all the secrets now. That means you can't live in peace type shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you. And,
But so I skewed again and I apologize. But I understand where you're coming from because I love Halloween. It was a great holiday. It's a great what it turned into and how, like, you know, you go trick-or-treating, you go out with your friends. It's the shit. You decorate your house, you run around and smack your friggin' brother with a chasing machete. It's great memories.
It's probably what I did to Josh when we were younger.
Also is a true lessening of the veil, and the energy can be manipulated in certain ways. And when you are of either ignorance, a low vibration, or just if you're open and thinking something's good, that's when energy and bad vibrations and bad things are able to come into you and affect you, possess you, which possession really is just pure, you know, manipulation through the way you see things and what's happened to you.
Shaking like
yeah.
a
Possessed by the spirit of something.
And I like what
know
you're
I
saying
mean?
with the whole energy thing. You're right. Like but it's also a matter of like the energy. How are you converting it? Like I mentioned to Fricka earlier, like the kids that are going out and dressing up as the devil so they can like genuinely go and do like satanic shit and like, I don't know, start beating up on kids, and dressing up as the devil helps them feel that way. Or
like Mischief Night. Remember
it.
like Mischief Night where people would go out and just like, you know what Mischief Night is, right?
I've never heard of it.
Mischief Night.
Come on, guys.
I've heard of it, but like,
Do you guys not know what Mischief Night is?
I heard of something like that.
I've heard of something. Yeah, but
Christian,
Am I
tell me.
really way too like I'm
Dude,
old
I'm
man.
uncultured, man.
Your
I'm
boy's
super
an
uncultured.
old man. But okay, so you know, back in the '90s, in the early 2000s, Mischief Night is the day before Halloween.
The
It's
night
the
before Halloween. Mischief
Halloween.
Night, they call it.
All the cops go around. That's when your house is getting egged. That's when your
Egg,
house is
toilet
getting
paper.
TP'd with all everything. That's when all the
Ding dong
vandalism
ditch.
is happening. And that used to be very big. Cops, they used to like double patrol cops way back in the day. I guess they just never wanted to blow up Mischief Night on social media.
yeah, is that like a thing that's going around?
Yeah, dude. When I was
today don't
younger,
mess
when I
with
was like, what, like when I was like 13, like 10 something years old, like around here when I like where I used to live, it's like me and my neighbors, we call it the Mischief Night. My dad wouldn't let us out during that time or whatever, but like I don't know the message behind it or the meaning behind it or where it started, but it's the fact that you go around just cause mischief. That's it. That's the whole idea.
That's straight up all it is.
That's it. And like you just egg people's houses
Yeah,
that you
that's
don't
fucking
like.
stupid. I'll agree. How did I not know of this?
And because of the
I
veil,
thought you guys would.
the veil between worlds has been so thin, the influence of evil and mischief can be shot into a human soul so much easier. So it's easier to do mischief during these times because there's more mischievous spirits around to be affected by.
I really like this example of the veil. The veil. No, what's that?
Yeah, it's a Disney movie. It was shown there. It's about Halloween. I thought you knew about it.
No.
Oh,
They
dude.
show it there.
Have you
too.
guys ever
We're
seen?
super uncultured. Me and
you
Josh
know
especially.
Disney?
It's bad. I'm like, seriously.
You know, like the Disney like castle where they write, and it's like the Disney castle, and then you see the line go across at the top.
Yeah.
But just the top of that one part is through Disney. It's a symbolic representation of Disney being able to pierce the veil because they think that
Wait, what?
because
explain that to me again.
that's the veil apparently of the world. So
What line were you talking
that's
about
Walt
just now?
Disney saying like, oh, I
You know
know
when a
how
Disney
to
movie
pierce through the
starts?
veil.
and it starts with
It
the
does-
line going over like that white
Dude,
line.
that shit's wild, right?
That's like, is that a
That
conspiracy
shit-
theory? Is
yeah.
that confirmed?
No, it's. I guess it can be conspiracy,
That's
but
kinda
I've
funny. I like looking.
I've seen way. I've seen a few different representations of what I was just speaking of in from different people that made me feel like it's pretty factual.
Yeah. So,
But yeah, the veil is a cool thing to think about.
I wanted to get your guys' opinion on this because when I obviously I looked through articles, but I also looked through some YouTube videos myself, and what two of these Christians were saying is that like they what they managed to do is they would go on Halloween and then like bags of like candy that they would give out, they would throw in like Jesus loves you. So when the kids would open it up, like I remember there was a story back in the day like where with people with the razors and shit. Yeah, like that's some real horror in the candy, and like people would like open their mouths.
Dude, when I used to live in Philadelphia,
That's
like in the
horrible,
north,
right?
like I don't think it was
Was there
northeast.
incidents that like
Well, I used to live in the city.
people would get hurt and
Dude,
stuff?
yeah,
Oh
dude.
yeah, if
Yeah.
you bite into the razor,
Dude, people.
your
I-
whole like.
No, I know
throat
it would
is
happen, but
right.
yeah.
My candy, like my parents would have to check my candy, look at every single piece of candy before giving it to me,
Our parents had to do the same.
just in case it was
Yeah.
poisoned or
Those little
razors or
white-
some
Right.
evil
I did
shit.
it. I did that with one of my friends one time.
There was
So-
a big thing with anthrax during 9/11.
Oh, yeah, no, I
They were
did
saying
hear
they
about
put
that, yeah.
anthrax in the candy too.
So what I was getting at that is like because even though like let's say I grant this whole idea like it was originally satanic or whatever, what it is today, like imagine if we turned it into this wholesome fun oriented thing where we get to like expose kids to be the light in the dark, like with how parents do it. They throw like what some of the like church and communities did it is they threw like these bags like I told you, and they would throw like Jesus loves you, and they would inform their like kids on like the history, just like I explained to you guys, and like I said like, hey, I want you to make sure that you bridge yourself between like the whole gap of this evil spirit thing, and I want you to be like there to like build these memories and core foundations of your childhood. What do you think of that? What do you think of being the light in the dark? Because you could celebrate Halloween like that too, instead of just kind of discouraging everyone else from doing it.
Think about the crazy polarization of the duality of man between getting a Jesus card with your candy bar or getting a razor blade inside your candy
nuts,
bar.
right? Oof.
That's insane.
Yeah.
It's like two ends of the spectrum.
So would you rather be like? Did you guys see like a conflict in portraying the good side of the spectrum?
I mean, here's the thing, right? Just because there's something good to something, I don't think it makes it worth celebrating or anything like that. I will still hold my stance on what I believe and what I say. I think the message of Jesus loves you is an amazing thing, but then the amount of detriment that brings to kids being fed with that razors that they would mix in those candies, or even I mean, I've heard of many things like even drugs and stuff being put into
think I've
those
heard that
candies
too.
and
Yeah,
mixed
that's
with
scary.
those type of things. And what a better time to sell those products and give out those products than Halloween, when kids on their way, their parents are not there, they eat candies on their way, boom, right in their system.
Wait, big corporations throwing it, or
Well,
just like people?
I wouldn't be surprised about that either, because if anything,
They're already poisoning us.
they would be the ones one getting away with it the most, if you ask me personally, and two, they're the ones that would actually build the most trust with people. That the candies that are packaged in I would say that they sell in stores in those family packages or with the Halloween design are the ones that will actually, will be most trustworthy in people's eyes. But in reality, they can be the most detrimental ones for the kids. And just to, keep another thing in mind is something that goes into your system doesn't necessarily have to harm you right away, but it's still in your system.
It's a red 40, bro.
And
Bless you.
yeah, bless you. And I mean, I think a good message being preached with a good one, as it says in the Bible, like good and bad just can't really exist together. Like you can't just have fear and then faith at the same time and expect to be like, yeah, sometimes I'm going to be fearful, sometimes I'm going to be faithful, even though that is something that us humans do go through. But to say that I will be good when I have both in me, that type of thing, like you. And this is another psychological thing too. The study being done that you can't be anxious and I would say like hopeful at the same time. Like you can't have those two coexist. there's one that is greater than the other.
Being.
Two states of being, and I mean,
One's based in fear and one's based in faith.
right, exactly.
But are fear and faith
So-
opposites? Or is it faith and unfaith?
Well, what is
Never heard of
unfaithfulness, right?
unfaith.
What is unfaithfulness?
Oh yeah, unfaith.
Well, everyone
And
has-
in like
everyone
in
has
what
faith in
aspect are we
something.
talking about, right? Like I'm going from a biblical perspective on this.
That's such a good question.
But yeah, like so the question was, is it faith against fear versus faith versus
are
unfaithfulness?
they opposites? Is being faithful the opposite of being fearful, or is being faithful the opposite? Or is the opposite of being faithful being unfaithful?
I don't know if they're exact opposites, but I think they're
Is maybe
very,
it's just
very.
fearful is
They're very
part of it?
unparalleled to each other.
Do you think maybe fearful or being fearful is like a part of being unfaithful?
Yes, because I think if you completely walk in faith, there is no fear because you know everything's about to happen for a reason, and you know like whatever. If you're being righteous and walking in faith, you know whatever's about to happen to you is just a lesson. If it's bad, it's a blessing. If it's good and it was supposed to happen. If it's sad and it's just whatever it may be, it's your attitude, no matter what happens to you, like it's just the way you look at it. It's perspective, and I think having faith is a huge golden perspective of life because it doesn't allow you to have fear. And I think fear and anger and pain, I think a lot of the problems in this world are drawn from those things.
Yeah, so it's a part of it. That's a good answer.
Yeah.
When we talk about faith, everyone has faith in like whatever. Like they have to have faith in something, right? You can't just say like, "Oh, I'm unfaithful." You might gotta be unfaithful to certain beliefs or whatever, but everyone has faith at the end of the day, whether it be God in themselves, their dreams, their hopes, in nothing. Like being unfaithful. I mean, when you think about, I wouldn't say it's the opposite of being faithful either, because being unfaithful means just like you're not believing in a belief, pretty much, right?
Well, what is it?
Wait,
I don't think they're opposite. I don't know, maybe if I'm thinking of everything wrong, but I live my life through fear of being the person I don't want to be. Like that's my
Oh yeah, we
main
had this
objection.
conversation 2 weeks ago.
My biggest fear in life is to live in my standards and average life. That's what drives me.
That's facts.
And for you to say that that's unfaithful doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah, well,
Okay,
it could be a
unfaithful.
part
It's
of
not.
it though.
I have faith.
think
I have
that was-
faith in myself as well at the same time.
I think for the most part,
So
you're
it
right,
can't
but
be
you could
polar
tie in
opposites.
parts of it maybe.
It's a healthy fear.
I just want
I
to
know. That's why my whole message is I don't think fear is bad. I think it can
No,
be.
yeah, we had this conversation 2 weeks ago. I edited the
perfect.
pod. We all came
I think
to the
good and bad is
conclusion.
subjective, period. But,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, we had the same conversation 2 weeks ago. We came to the conclusion that fear is good.
Yo,
It's a matter of how you
Christian's like-
use it.
what's it called? Saying one thing and then saying the other like next. I don't know. When you say good and bad are subjective, but then we were talking about good and bad in the beginning of the episode, you saying it like I don't understand. I'm kind of confused.
Yeah. When were we talking about in the beginning?
So
about
good,
that?
so good and bad are subjective.
Yeah.
So what makes good good and what makes bad bad? Or is it just how do you look at it?
Cut this.
What you said just didn't make sense. That's all.
I go to.
Bleep.
I start
Um,
joking too much sometimes.
Yeah, so I guess I kind of got my answer from like you guys and the whole idea of like we all have a choice how to celebrate Halloween. How do you?
Yeah, I mean, if you really look, if I look at our whole conversation and stuff like that, it's like there's some aspects like like you mean being a hero in the light, right? There's nothing wrong with that. If my kid's walking around trying to be a hero,
there's nothing wrong with that at all. Yeah.
dude, good for him and stuff like that, right? But like when it comes to Halloween, it's like you gotta be aware of like what's going on, right? What is the idea? What is the message being pushed out? I mean, the mischief or the evil, right? But it's also, okay, there's innocence, there's ignorance, and people don't really know. They're just going throughout whatever it is. Should it be a holiday that we celebrate? I don't really care. Like whether or not it is a thing or not. It doesn't really serve a purpose to society. I think there should be better holidays that we could probably celebrate, or Can I say that there should be better holidays? But
I think that's
I'm
a
sure
really
there's
good
better
point.
things that we can
Free
celebrate
speech.
than Halloween for sure. Because, well, like at Halloween, you know, it's like, yeah, the dressing up, getting candy can be very innocent and stuff like that. But like I said, it's like at the end of the day, there is negativity involved in dark energy and the veil being lifted and something like, dude, like guys, I mean, I'm gonna speak from my experience a couple days ago. 2 nights ago, I had to do my walk, my 45-minute outdoor workout at like 11 o'clock at night. And I was walking through my neighborhood and I was like looking at all like the scary decorations. And guys, I was like low key just like, I was like sketching out. I don't know why. Like I was just like tripping out. And I wasn't even thinking about Halloween. I was just like, I just felt like weird. I started looking at the decorations. I saw a deer kind of like scaring me a little bit. I took out my headphones. I was just like really being very vigilant. And it's like sometimes like I would kind of feel that in like haunted houses or something like that. But it was just like, it wasn't like I'm spooked and it's like high energy. I was just like,
Is it
I kind of just want to go
You're,
home
like,
now.
uncomfortable?
Yeah, I felt uncomfortable.
My first question is, your bedtime's at like 10 o'clock. So what were you doing?
I just did shit late. That's all.
Okay, so you're breaking your 75 hard already?
No, I actually
You
did
set
it.
that as
No, I
a
achieved it.
bedtime?
Dun dun dun.
No, I
Anyway,
did.
yeah, my second question, but like, was there an aspect of you that like knows that these decorations?
No,
are
it wasn't the
fake?
decorations that scared me. It was just the fact that it's dark.
The feeling of it.
It just the atmosphere,
And that-
right?
yeah,
it's
that-
eerie.
'cause that- yeah,
it
that's
felt
right.
eerie.
That's- that's
There's no
fear.
one. I don't see any cars.
That's right.
Thing is, like when you're especially in like your suburban neighborhood, the streets are wide and open. It's almost like when it's like a Halloween movie, right? And it's like Freddy or Jason. It starts in like a suburban area and stuff like that. It just felt eerie and stuff like that. And that's about energy I don't want in my life at all because it just puts me in a state of fear.
Dude, it's that, like, yeah, if you don't want to, like, no one's forcing anyone to, like, celebrate Halloween or anything like that. You stay away from it. Please, like, if that's not what you want, go get away from it. Like,
Do you think your brain was reacting to real energy, or do you think it was reacting to things that were put in your brain throughout your life, like subconsciously? Like
It could be
you
a little bit of both because
the setting of horror movies. You think it was taking that, or do you think you felt an actual, because you're somewhat of a spiritually adept guy. I know you like that. Like you can feel things. Or did you feel some sort of uneasy energy roll through you?
here's the thing, right? With my experience with like energy and stuff like that, it's like when I was little, like I've seen a lot of negative energy. I've been around a lot of negative people. You know, I've seen like violence. I've seen a lot of like what like alcohol and drugs can do to people. And being in those environments and being around that energy and being alone in that energy, and I couldn't do anything about it. It's like I recognize, like I'm really self-aware of like what I felt like when I was younger, being in those moments full of just fear and afraid of just negativity and stuff like that. And I don't wish that upon anyone, right? I mean, there's certain moments in our life where you need to have like, it's almost like, remember like at a cold shower, like you need those little bits of just like a cold shower gets like your fight or flight like system in a healthy way. Like I don't mind that, right? Like you should, like Josh said, like fear can be healthy, but also can be really detrimental. It could cause you to be stunned. It can cause you to lose faith. It can cause you to be doubtful. It could cause you to lose your dreams. It could cause you, it puts you in a survival state of mode. So it's like when you're in survival mode, it's like you're not, all you're worried about is in the present. You're not in tune with anything anymore. You're just worried about,
how can I survive?
yeah, how
In
can I
this moment
survive?
right now, since I'm in
Yeah,
danger.
and people, we're not meant to be in survival mode because, I mean, we live in abundance now. We should be in creative mode because we came from the creator, so.
I thought that was a Minecraft reference.
No, like, it's
Wait,
just,
was it?
no, it's
Oh,
not.
okay.
No.
How I would share my insight like on that question is, I mean, I think
What was
in
the
order
original
for us to
question? I'm sorry.
understand
Wait, what was the original question I asked?
it's like should we like
Be
should
the
we
light in the dark?
no, it's about like just the idea of that taking a Halloween as a fun holiday and taking it as a bad one, and
Like
you
the
don't
short-
necessarily
yeah,
have to involve yourself in a negative one. You can just see like the good in it, right? Wasn't that like how we kind of developed the conversation? Should it be a holiday or not even?
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing. I think in order for us to know the difference between good and bad, we have to have both. I think we couldn't know good if we didn't have bad, and we wouldn't know bad if we didn't have good. However, I think when it comes to a hypothetical question, I think this is a very hard thing to do. To say tear down a holiday, I mean, that means you would have to get consensus of so many people that would say no every year. Even their future generation, the kids would say, no, I'm not doing this, right? That's just a very hard thing to do. But to bring up a hypothetical question, should a holiday like Halloween exist or not? I personally would be very based on my answer, and I would say no. I don't think it should be a holiday to be celebrated. I don't think we should partake in this type of holidays with what like I said, the origins are, and to even forget about the origins, even though that is important, to look at the society and what people do now, and what they're partaking, and the fact that like I see this more than not. I'm not gonna brag about this, but I haven't, like, my perspective changed, I would say, seriously, like for a year to 6 months as I've been walking with the Lord. And I like how I see it from my eyes are very different from maybe how other people might see it, and I could be the wrong one, it could be the right one, or whatever that may be. But like, I have a very clear understanding of what's going on in the world. It's a very big spiritual war. People are gonna sit there and say, "Oh, nothing's wrong with it. It fears me, but it might not fear anybody else." Yeah, dude, you might feel fearful because of your traumas, but I didn't really have the traumas as a kid, so like I'm good. That type of things. But energy is a thing. Energy exists. If you're not fearful of it, and if you're like, I guess you could say you're so tough, there are other people that are being affected by that. So I think to have an understanding of whether we should celebrate or not, you have to have a broad understanding of what happens to people, what are people partaking in, and how can people, I would say, perceive this holiday. So I think many people could be, I guess, one, like, emotional about the subject, two, like, might have a little bit of fear towards saying something that might not be, I would say, politically right, or something that's going to hurt so many people's feelings because they enjoyed holiday as a kid. I mean, I can share so many good experiences that I had as a Halloween as a kid, and I'm not taking that away from fun at all, but I'm taking from the ignorance of my part on why I didn't know the deep understanding of what it actually is and what I was partaking in. Not the fact that I didn't, now I'm pushing my childhood away and I'm saying, because I had fun then, now I'm taking the fun away from the kids. Like, that's really not what you're doing. Kids are going to have fun regardless. Kids are going to have good time during, like, different holidays, different events. You can go and
give them
give
candies
your
every
kids
single
candies.
day.
Yeah, like, yeah, I understand the idea of collecting candy with your own friends, but I also have like the story of how we did things different in Georgia and stuff. Like, obviously we didn't have Halloween because I think it's a Western thing more.
I think it's,
And
very
especially that's where it's populated more. And so obviously we celebrated, like, the collecting of the candy wasn't anything to do with Halloween. Georgia was during December 25th, which is Christmas, right? But we don't have the celebration of Christmas how it's here. We have it a little bit different. And then I told Mike this too. We would sing the praise of the Lord because that's the day that Jesus Christ was born. And we would sing a song, and then they would bring out the candy for us, right? Like, that was our celebration to get candy and stuff. And I mean, I'm not here to say that because kids grow up here with that type of experience to collect candy and have their fun time with their friends collecting candy, dressing up as those characters and stuff, and seeing the spooky things, being a little afraid and having that dopamine, whatever. But I think there's a huge difference between the two. And I don't know how other people would answer it, but if I had to put kid into two different situations, especially my kid, I would definitely not have to put them in a situation of spookiness, fear, scary, that type of thing, because the world itself is a scary place. They're gonna get scared regardless. So I think just adding more fear, I think it's an unnecessary fear. If you ask me personally, it's how I look at it. It's very unnecessary fear. I think if people can just look at it from a perspective of, like, the deeper understanding of what it actually can do to a human being long term. I don't mean short term, I mean long term. Like, people are going to grow up and they're not even going to know what the fear is coming from, but it's there, right? Like, there's so many traumas, so many things that people can't, like, I guess through their lifetime can never really understand where it's coming from, but the trauma exists, right? And I feel like that's how, when I was, bringing up the devil, Satan, that's how Satan works through those people, works in the world to deceive those people, like fear those people to the point where that fear now will dictate their life on how they live through those subtle collecting candy. Just look at the skeleton on the garden. Look at that little skeleton being hung from a tree, and that type of things. And it's just a decoration. It's just art. I do not look at it like that at all, man. Like, not at all. I do not like it for a bit personally.
Here's an interesting question. Mike, you said that it would be better to, like, there are better holidays we can celebrate. I absolutely agree. So Chris, what are some holidays that we could celebrate that are better? Put the guest on the spot. I was actually thinking about some. I don't really have any.
Some holidays we could celebrate. That would be.
I thought, wait, like new holidays.
When you
saying
say better,
yeah,
do you mean
like
more wholesome or more useful or more wholesome, more useful, more practical?
A combination of all. A combination of all. Like, that's what better. I get that that's really broad.
Right now.
Holiday of my birthday.
Oh my god.
Celebrating
Josh's bro.
Josh's birthday.
And then we're gonna do 1 month before Josh's birthday, and then 2 months before.
2 weeks before my birthday, baby.
So you guys said you had other things you wanted to talk about, like symbolization in, like, the Olympics. I saw that in the text. What was that?
I want to say one thing, just to bank off what Sadula has said, and I think that this world. So, do you guys agree that this world is of the devil?
Absolutely.
Like, evil exists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this is the devil's playground, and like really, that our life is almost like Jesus walking in the desert, getting tempted by the devil the whole time. You know what I mean? And you just gotta. Do they know
the story of Jesus getting tempted in the desert? Do you guys know that? You ever heard of that?
You guys know that
I
story?
have not. No, you'll have to break it down to me.
You want to go for it?
Go ahead.
Okay, so to say it shortly, it's pretty much Jesus fasting for 40 days and night through the desert, and then the last day he goes up on a mountain, and that is the time that devil tempts him, because that's the last day. That's the day where he was feeling most thirsty, most hungry, and there's three temptations, and he was at his weakest point. And that's the day that devil tempts him with three things. First was he said, you can do anything, so turn that rock into bread and eat, because you're hungry. That's the first thing. And then obviously he denied that. Two was he said, if your God can save you, and the angels can, jump off the cliff and the angels will lift you from the ground, so you're not gonna die. And then obviously he said no to that too, because, and how he answered him was, I don't know how he answered him with the first one, but the second one was, don't tempt your Lord.
He said, you shall not tempt the Lord
You
your
shall
God.
not, tempt Lord your God. And then the third one was, look at all the land there. It's going to be all yours. And
All
this
the
is
kingdoms and all the women and everything.
Exactly. This is all going to belong to and stuff. But you see, it's such a weird thing that the devil was doing there, because Jesus could do all of it.
Right.
He could do all of it.
Right.
But he was tempting him because it was a matter of faith, and it was a matter of an understanding of what he could actually do. It was just, would he complete that 40 night fast or not? And that's the time that the devil went to tempt, the very last days when he was at his weakest. So I guess you can take this into so many different perspectives and break it down in so many ways. But like, I just want to know why you brought it up.
It's an interesting story.
Yeah, isn't that it's a good story because also the devil will always come when you're at your most desperate and also when you're at your final lap of something just to knock you off track. But I brought that up just to say that the devil is so camouflaged in this world. Like Jesus says, forgive them because they know not what they do. Like it's with Halloween. They know not what they do. They know not what they are celebrating or what they are doing with these celebrations. But the devil is so masked and made up in this world that it's a normal it's seen to be normal. Anything evil is seen to be normal. Like I said off pod earlier, like something about putting lipstick on a pig. If the devil was the most ugly sight you've ever seen, the worst demented looking incestual pig.
Sash.
There.
Crazy thing to say.
Everybody in this world will walk right by that pig and see like the beautiful woman with the red dress from the Matrix. And it's very important to know this fact. And I'm very impressed with you young men being able to recall the stories of the Bible so well and the verbiage. And it makes me
Don't even know most of it at all.
no, but it makes me feel like I really need to brush up on my shit. And I appreciate that. Thank you.
No problem, bro. Chris is constantly giving us flowers. Much appreciated.
Gotta
Chris.
give flowers.
Right back to you.
Gotta throw flowers in this world.
So were you like connecting that between the whole like how he's like constantly in the world, between the whole things that you were talking about? Like I genuinely don't have a single clue as to what you guys are talking about when you like mentioned the Olympics and stuff like that. So fill me in.
Oh.
Or music.
What
I think I've seen.
What
some
specific part of the Olympics were y'all talking about? Like the openings and everything?
The Paris.
Yeah, so
Yeah, that shit was wild,
We
right?
can get into the topic of subliminal messaging, right?
Yeah.
The messaging in social media, the news, the Olympics, things like that, like messages to, like in movies and stuff like that. Disney, right?
Yeah.
What Disney does and stuff. And when you mention the Olympics, it's like they're just mocking stuff, and there's a bunch of fat people and a bunch of this table representing
The Last Supper.
the Last Supper, and it's like, you know, like
They're-
and it's like
And they had, instead of like where Jesus was at the table, it was a representation of I forget the name of the Hindu god. I think it's like Dakash or something, and it's like that's blasphemy right there. But it doesn't matter if it's blasphemy or not, because you just need to know that this is a fallen world, and if you keep, if you just need to have the discernment to be able to see through these things, but most people don't. And most people don't even know what they're looking at, or they don't know why they're looking at, and they don't know why this is in their face. They don't know why it should be significant. They don't know why people are upset about things. And it's just, in a world of such information, in a world of such vast information, the real truths of things are being so squandered down because there's just tidal waves of bullshit you need to sift through, and the more information
Just
that
junk
comes
in your
makes
mind
it easier
to
get lost, man. And that's what's going to keep happening in this day and age of basically babble. Like I'm going off conversation, but I heard that scientists are now gonna maybe be able to see what birds are saying. So here's an example how horrible that would be. Why, if humans could talk to birds, right? Yeah, it'll be cool. But what's the first human that's gonna fuck with a bird's head and just make them not be birds anymore, and just like teach a bird to build a fire, tell a bird like whatever, and then all of a sudden they're gonna have fears and anxieties, and even you're gonna give the birds all the information that we have. All of a sudden they'll stop being birds, what they're supposed to be in nature. They'll stop migrating and eating trees and shitting seeds so more trees come up. Just like I feel like humans have so much information that we're so far removed from what we were originally supposed to be in this world, where everybody's looking for purpose and why we're here, and no one fucking knows, man, because Eve bit a fucking apple.
Yeah, a man who's lost seeks pleasure.
Yeah.
That's all he does. He fills a void.
And it's ridiculous, man.
That's crazy. No, I didn't think science
Yeah, but
cool with that.
like, I don't really want to get into talk about the
bird.
birds and stuff like that. But
I have a question.
Just imagine if the evil of man was when I say Babel, because the Tower of Babel is when everybody
they try to reach all the way up to heaven.
And they're trying to reach the God to.
They were like, we're about to kill the God. Yeah, kill God.
But everybody spoke the same language in the whole world. Everybody was working together. What's happening right now, dude? Like the technology is making it the newest technology on Samsung. Oh, instant translation. What is the language learning at Babel? Like there's the symbology of evil, and just not even evil, the symbology of like old sacred law has just been slewn everywhere. It's all hidden in plain sight, and it's all around.
Dude,
us.
I even heard that they're
And
gonna
it's
have
insane.
this thing where if I'm on the phone with somebody that doesn't speak English and I'm speaking to them in English, the way it gets transferred to them is gonna be in their own language. So we're technically gonna be speaking the same language without really speaking the same language.
That's crazy.
Think about this.
that is crazy.
Think about this. You
Babel,
know how
bro.
back in the day, like right when Google and
Isn't
search.
that great though?
Yeah, sure, it can be. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like if I'm like
No, yeah, that's
some
probably be.
immigrant comes up to me on the street and I don't know how to communicate with them, I'd be like, oh, blah 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 blah.
You see, everything
sounds
that's good
amazing.
has its own like downside to it. You know what I mean? Like technology evolving also has bad sides to it because
I hear.
look where it's
Like
gotten.
AI,
So
What
it's
would
like,
the bad side be to like that though?
Think about this. Search engines start. It's Google. So everybody, like, universally, Google is the search engine. When Google first came out, you could type in anything and it'll tell you what you need to know. Now that everybody uses Google, you can still get these information, but like stuff will be like cut out, or you could pay for your stuff to go to the top when someone searches for something. You know what I mean? But so basically, if everybody's going to use it, they can eventually slip in the way they want you to see information. So say you don't know a language, but all of a sudden your language is being translated through whatever this technology is. Who's to say
Technology
they can't,
controls how you speak to them, not you.
yeah, who's to say that they're really emoting what you're trying to convey?
Yeah.
Eventually. I
It
bet
can be
you the
manipulated
technology
easily.
will be perfect at first.
I want to go back to the
Yeah.
Last Supper thing. Is that what happened at the Olympics?
Yeah, it was
That
like.
an Olympics thing?
Like,
Sorry,
let's
but
just
it's
look at
skew.
we can go back to the rap industry and what music is nowadays. And the reason I stopped listening to rap, and I'll tell you why, because when you actually listen to the words and stuff like that, the words of like what they're saying, and all of a sudden when I would listen to rap all the time, guys, I remember right in high school, Trippie Redd, Juice WRLD, like all these like rappers and stuff like that, and it's like sure, like they made good music when I was listening to them, but when you actually listen to what they're saying and like the energy, it's like they're just projecting. And they're projecting what? Their negative emotions. And when the negative emotions are in your ear constantly, oh, I'm taking Percocets, I'm gonna die, she left me, I'm a piece of shit, I'm gonna go fuck some bitches, let's go drink some alcohol, murder. It's like your mind is just filled with so much static.
and understanding how your subconscious really works.
Dude, I'll tell you what. Like in our high school, kids like used to speak like they're fucking black. Like they used to,
true, yeah.
They used to speak like they're like in the like. Why are you talking like
bro, you're
like
in a
that?
suburban.
You live in
area,
a
you have
suburban.
nice house outside, like the neighborhood is
The reason they
friendly.
speak like that is because they speak like the rappers they listen to,
Yeah, that's definitely.
and they think that they're cool and stuff like that. And when you look at it from that perspective, and you look at it like music videos, right? Lil Nas X, right? Like the devil, all red and stuff like that. And it's like you're just doing some gay shit on the devil. It's like, what the fuck? Like, what are we actually doing here?
Who did this?
Lil Nas X, like he would have music videos. It was like a big thing. Like he would have a music video of like he was dressed up as a devil and he was like
He even
dancing on
made
the
the
he was
thing
like
like he
twerking
was
on the devil. It
pregnant.
was weird.
You remember he made the
Lap dancing on the devil.
Right? What possibly could be the song about that he's doing that shit?
Yeah, that's fucking crazy.
It's crazy, and it goes deeper than that. And I stopped listening to rap, and I'm just I'm repulsed by it every time. Like I try to listen, if I hear something, I'm just like I can't do it. Like I can't. I just feel like a connection, or I just feel like spiritually disconnected from that type of stuff. And it's all about energy, right? Words are energy, vibrations and frequencies. Nikola Tesla said, if you really want to know the secrets about 369, look at the world in terms of frequency, energies, and vibrations, right? That's what this world is. And we might see when we see each other in the physical, right? But there's worlds beyond this, and that's the vibrational, right? Why look at me like that, side-eye me? But like vibrations and stuff like that.
Me and my brother talking about like every rap song we've ever listened to is like we categorize it like this. Like men's rap song is like drugs, violence, crime, robbery,
Sex.
It's
hypnotism.
And all of a sudden,
and then women's rap is like that, but they talk about their pussy. So
exactly, and all of a sudden, these kids who are like 14, they start looking at girls like at 14-year-olds. They start sexualizing them, bro. They start.
They're so young.
I hate the fucking kids that act tough.
Dude, the thing is, it's lust. It's lust, and lust is evil. It's a sin, right? It's a deadly sin. It's one of the 7 deadly sins is lust. That's a big thing guys deal with nowadays, is being filled with this feeling of lust and the feelings of slothfulness, right? And that's another deadly sin, slothfulness. And
damn right.
Thinking about it too, you guys know 21 Savage, right?
Yeah.
Dude, like he has I think he actually has a cross on his forehead.
it's a dagger.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Of course it is. Fucking, that's the most 21 Savage thing.
The thing is, someone could have a cross tattooed on their whatever, and like they still be contradicting, a walking contradiction.
Dude, like I'm laughing at it because like people listen to 21 and they'll repeat the same things, but it's like look at the person you're listening to. 21 is literally like he has so many like criminal offenses against him, and then like everything like that. And if he produces good music, that's fine. But like, is this the person that you guys are like repeating of?
Dude,
Jelly
no.
Roll got a
He's
cross
like
on his
people like
face.
that are not role models in this world.
That's
and
what
people,
I'm saying.
guys, I used to
hilarious.
look up to rappers when I was that age. That's why I started rapping.
That's why you were the
when I was
SoundCloud rapper. Yeah, instead of listening to rap, listen to Michael Fricker.
I started making depressed rap music about how bitches don't like me and that I should take more drugs and fucking put myself and just fill my void, bro.
No, back at the time it was bitches for Mike, dude. I know it was.
It was just cope, and it was depression. It was just like I was whining on a mic.
If you still have it, I'd love to
We're
put
a
it up
similar
on pod.
fool, Mike.
Yeah.
We're a similar fool. We came up similar.
Yeah, so I think like when it comes to messages like that, like the reason this ties into Halloween and self-improvement in general is because it's just it all comes down to what are your inputs. The best times, like the most creative I am, the most high frequency I am is when I listen to nothing. When I don't listen to anything. When I wake up, I don't go on my phone. I go for a walk, I don't go on my phone. I'm in the gym, I don't even listen to music. I'm just there in a flow state. I'm just so locked in on getting my sets in. When I have no inputs at all. I'm just self-aware and there in the moment, present. That's when I'm the highest frequencies, when I'm just there. Just being. Not so much static and noise in my mind.
A week ago, Mike came up to me. He showed me this Dragon Ball video.
Yeah, I was listening to that too.
But that, like, the difference between that is like, it is constant positive affirmation.
Did you listen to it?
I listened to it for like 13 minutes and then I stopped. It was ass.
Really?
Well, like music-wise, yeah, it wasn't good. But I will say though, it's
That shit gets me so
opposite.
hyped, bro.
Dude, yeah, because there's nothing but positive affirmations. It's like in my ear, it's like I'm gonna be the number one. What are they called? Saying
Josh,
in the
what do
world.
you listen
And,
to?
like,
What do you
I'm
listen to in the gym? TikTok audios saying what?
No, they're not. Nothing bad.
No,
It's
like
like
bad, but they're
a lot of. I mean,
I'm in an
right?
edit. I'm in an edit.
Yeah, I just live in an edit. I mean, there's no other way to put it, man.
Yeah,
I like listening to MMA edits.
There's a good one with Mike Tyson.
There's like a
I'm
back,
the best
because
ever.
there's like a backstory behind it. I feel like I'm one of those motherfucking tough fighters. You know, except I don't act like it, like you were saying. It's like in my head, I'm tough. You know, I'm there.
You're hard.
It gets me going. It gets me going.
I'll pass you.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like now that we're
play.
talking about like the whole industries of rap and stuff. There was this video that I came across. Apparently, this girl and this guy who made a music, it was supposed to, like, they literally said it flat out. They said it was supposed to be satanic, and it was supposed to be for that reason to, I guess, show with that emotion into people's heads and into people's spirit, and they literally said when people listen to it, they feel something so strong, just kind of like go into them, but they don't know what it is. And then there was another video that was mentioned, like they were kind of testing. So they put a salt on a table or something, and then they put like the music and the vibration of the sound, and you could see it was like going into shapes and stuff. That's the
true.
sound waves. It's what we're listening
Same
to.
with
That's
water.
what we're
They did that with
getting.
water, too.
Exactly. That's what
We
we're getting
are
into.
water.
Yeah, and most of
70%
us
water,
are
bitch.
water.
We are water.
So
So if your molecules move that way, they can. If your molecules move in the patterns which you're saying, there's different hertz. That there's healing hertz, which is vibration, and then there's also disruptive hertz. And do you know back in the day they
Which is like rock
changed
music and shit.
they changed the hertz of music from what it used to be classically, like Beethoven and Bach and all that, and they changed what the average sonic hertz is. And I know it's a destructive hertz, and a lot of rap music comes from it, a lot of rock music, metal. It's that 808 hit or that constant that you hear in a lot of music. It's fucking scrambling your whole body in a cellular level, down to a cellular level. And it's like,
That's powerful.
it's messed up, man.
Dude, we didn't talk about album covers too. I think it was you. Remember you sent one? It was like a girl bent over. I
probably.
saw it.
I don't know, but you remember Drake too? His album. It was a guy. It was a guy that was pregnant and stuff. Like they literally put that emoji
I see that.
in on the phones and stuff inside the emoji thing. But
Kanye's too. His girl was like fucking butt naked.
yeah, like dude. Oh yeah, I did. Say, I remember.
You
Yeah.
sent one,
that's
and it was
crazy.
like it was literally her, like in the position.
No,
you're
dude, you
doing,
could
like,
you could see it. Like literally,
Yeah,
it was very
fucking-
visible, and it
that
was
shit is
it's crazy. They
insane.
put look. You know what's crazy? They put that out there. And they're not ashamed of saying it. Like, I think it was Little Uzi. Some reporter was talking to her, and she was like, I sometimes play your music in my head and stuff, and it's like I'm big, what's it called? Going through hypnosis and stuff. And he was like, that's what it's supposed to be. And he's like speaking like he's high, dude. Like you could tell like he's high on drugs. And dude, that's what I'm saying. Like, they're not even ashamed of saying what they're doing. Like, dude, they flat out came and said, "That's what we're doing.
You have to do it. Like
That's what we're doing."
Yeah.
And people, that's the free will, right? That's the free will that God gave us. People partake in it freely
Yep.
and really engaging in those things. And another thing that I just wanted to mention that happened during the Olympic ceremony, something that I paid attention to as my knowledge grew. I had no idea that those things were actually what was being represented, but it was a bull, and people were like getting on their knees and worshiping.
Mm-hmm.
What happens in the book of Daniel in the Bible? People are worshiping. People are worshiping that bull of iron, and if whoever doesn't do it, they're sent into that oven that's heating up that bull metal and burned in there. And it's what the three characters did, and they said we're not gonna worship it, and then they were like, send us there, and they were like, dude, you're gonna die there. Like, all you have to do is just conform and worship our God. And they go, we're not gonna do it because there's only one God, right? And then they sent him there, and it was so hot. They said, turn it up to 10 times hotter because of the punishment. And then 2 of the guards burned on the way there, taking those people there. That's how hot it was on the way. And then those 3 people, they see them walking, and then the king goes, I see a 4th person, and it's Son of Man. And then what happens later on in the New Testament, right? Son of Man, supposed to be Jesus Christ. And then there was another one, which happens in Revelation in the Bible, a man on a white horse with a robe riding on it. That's what happened at the Olympics. They know this stuff, dude. They have read the whole thing. They know what they're doing, bro. It's just that people's understanding is not there. Like, people don't have any idea on what's going on. They're just watching it. They're consuming it, and it's like a mockery. And you know what's crazy? That warrior,
exactly what it is a mockery, and they do it on purpose.
and that warrior on that horse didn't have any face, nothing on it. And you know why? Because in the Bible it says that it's gonna be Son of Man who's gonna be riding on that horse to save the world, come back for the fallen world, and people won't recognize him.
Nope.
But because it's gonna be after the rapture, like it's gonna be a whole thing. If I like dive deep into it, it's gonna be exactly. It's gonna be it's like deep, but it's the idea that like people won't understand who he is because of that fallen world, that fallen nature.
Nope.
But you know, they know these stuff. What I'm trying to say, like they're not doing this because of design or art, or it's just Olympic ceremony. Like I think they know what they're representing.
They know.
Sure.
They know what they're doing. They know what they're mocking. They take like what's Jesus. 33 is the number for Jesus. They take it. They turn it upside down. It's the 6.
Yeah.
They as above, so below is their thing, and they have to. Satanists, I'm saying, like Satanists or people that are evil and they know it and they're working for evil in this world, which a lot of the people that are at the top of media and at the top of a lot of things that are the most monetarily supported, because that is money is the god of this world. So those are the people that control that god, because they don't worry about the real god or the god, like the god of light. They care about that god, the false idol, and that's who's control the money. And now people that have control of the money can put out all the advertisement, all the visuals, and in their religion they need to put it in plain sight in your face what they're doing and the mockeries. They need to do that, or else they can't get the worldly blessings that they call the worldly possessions that keep coming to them, because that's part of their religion, believe it or not.
Interesting.
Yeah, just some of the things too.
I think we've hit over our
for
2 hour mark. Yeah, so I mean, Christian, we've already asked.
Hour 40 minutes.
Hour 40?
Dude, it felt long, right?
Yeah, I know.
Super long.
It's 12 o'clock right now. Shit. Christian, we've already asked you our 5. I think you actually got 5 of the questions. We turned it
Yeah,
down
when
to
he was
3.
our first
Right.
guest, yeah, 5 questions. And then,
But
Question from the last guest, right?
yeah, do we have that? And then also just any
And then
like
I
final
got it.
thoughts before closing it out. Anything you want to say?
thank you for coming on, man. It's a pleasure.
thank
You
Always.
guys for having me, man. I always enjoy hanging out with you guys. Always talk about some real shit, and that's
Sure.
a lot of fun.
Does your hair get in your eyes when it's down like that?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
My
Looks
hair's
good like
wild.
that.
I need a haircut.
I like it.
Love, man.
No, I like
Don't
it.
look
though.
at me into that.
It's good, bro. It's good.
Yeah.
What were you saying, Josh?
Don't look at me, man.
Who's the person who means the most in your life and why?
Oh shit.
Oh shit, he says.
You know, I would always. I'm a horribly selfless person. It's one of my vices. And I have been my whole life.
That's a great thing.
I'm always focusing. I'm a horribly selfless person. It's always been one of my vices. I've always focused on other people. I always want other people to be good, and that's how I would determine my worth. If like how the people around me felt about me for the things that I've done for them, or something like that. So my whole life I've been that way, and I know that. And it's not a bad trait, but it's not the healthiest trait. And like all traits, moderation is the key. Like all things in this world, moderation is the key. And all things can be done through moderation. But this person that is most important to me in this world right now is me, because I'm at a point in my life where I've been through a lot of things. I've fucked up a lot of things. I've done a lot of things good, but I'm also getting older, and I'm working on me to the point where I'm so proud of me as a person, and I will be a person that when I finally find the person to help build a family with, I'm the best person I can be for that person.
Amen. Amazing.
Yeah.
That was a really good answer.
Yeah.
I love it. What question would you ask for the next guest?
It could be anything. You don't know who the guest is, Andy.
If your climbing and parkour skills were world class and you could climb any national or international monument barehanded and stand on the top of it banging your chest like King Kong, what would it be?
Bro, give up. Why banging your chest like King Kong?
You're gonna
you're
be
on top of the
repeat
world.
all this. If you're climbing and
If your climbing and parkour skills were top of the world,
I'll write it down.
yeah, you want to write that?
That'd be a fun question.
Yeah, that'll get them thinking for sure.
That was
what
a
am I
very Chris.
answering?
That was a very Chris question.
What's your answer, John?
While he's writing that down,
Didn't even
I'll
hear
let
what he said, bro.
The guess, right?
I'll write it down after we close out. You can always look back at the
I just
tape
heard some.
and get it.
This and then
Quote of the fucking day.
that's a
Like our
skateboard.
guest.
I was taking this podcast so
this.
seriously. I'm usually a jokester. I had to say something wild, just
That's a good question.
to what do you know, justify myself for the internet viewers. Wait, why am I justifying myself? I don't give a fuck what you think of me.
Yeah, you're too far away from the mic, bro.
I don't
to the
care
world,
what
right?
you think of me. Do not conform and do not obey.
You can never predict Chris's next move.
Nah, you can't. What am I reading on this board?
Quote of the day.
The quote of the day. I was reading this before the pod. It was cool. I like it. If you want to make minor improvements, change your behavior. But if you want to make quantum improvements, you change your paradigm.
Boom.
You heard me?
Yeah, that
Who is
was
it by?
7 Habits of
That is a quote by Stephen Curry.
Kobe.
Kobe. I was gonna say a basketball player or that shit. I was gonna say.
Kobe. Shout out. I'll do it. I've been saying this to my siblings for the past. I mean, you guys know the what video this is from, right?
I was gonna ask, but yeah.
I've been saying this to my siblings for the past couple of years, especially if you live in another state or even just a good distance away. It's very true. What was this video from, George?
Yeah, this was reflecting
from
when
Cole talking about
was-
relationships.
When he was talking about how his parents, how do you feel if you're only gonna see your mom 75 more times?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. He's appreciating his time with his family
Yeah,
members.
Because he was saying like how they watch TVs and they just hang out, go to their families only on birthdays and some like certain occasions like holidays and stuff. So they don't really spend time with each other.
Yeah, and he said it's very sad.
it's very sad that you don't get to see them very often because you spend time watching TV and stuff like that. So that was about relationships basically. So spend time with.
I'm
people
happy
that
this
you
guy
love.
agrees. I mean, he's got a good understanding of family and the importance of relationships in life and how that's the number one factor for determining happiness in
Shout out to
most
Barton
people in
Stink.
today's era.
Yeah, that's good comment. So, with that being said, Chris, this is your third time on. Do you remember what we finish off our episodes with? He's got two in mind. All right. We like to say, bros.
Bros, think big.
No. We say think big, grow big. I botched that one. All right, so
Think
with that
big,
being
grow
said,
big.
This was a
You
great
remember that or
episode.
no?
Thank you guys for staying to the end. Chris, big thanks to you for coming
sure,
on
for sure.
for the third time. This was a great conversation.
Maybe a fourth time too?
Yeah,
Question mark?
in the future.
Possibly.
Possibly. Right? So, with that being said,
Possibly.
think
Big,
big, grow big.
Grow big.